Hey everyone, Simon here. So in the last program about how to find your lucky star, turns out I told you how to find your unlucky star. So I'm going to do part 2 here and show you how to find your fortunate times and how to take advantage of them. And I'm going to start with so if you haven't watched that video, watch part 1 on how to find your lucky star so you know how to do the calculation. And so here I'm going to tell you how to find your lucky star. But before I do, let's start with the Kentucky Derby of 2019, which had this very controversial decision that upset the favorite. The favorite horse actually won, but it won because it obstructed another horse, and so it was counted out. It was disqualified. And one of the stars that I work with in sports is the star Spica. And Spica, a star in the sky, one of the brighter stars in the sky, is for most people in their personal horoscopes, is a positive influence. It's soft, sweet, creative kind of influence when it hits sensitive points in your chart. But when it hits a sensitive point in the chart of an event, like a competitive event, it will tend to wreak havoc for the favorites. So Spica is located at sidereal 0 degrees Libra, so that would be about 24 degrees in the Western tropical zodiac. And so the start of the Kentucky Derby was actually right at 0 degrees Libra. It was at 29. This is it. This is the 2959 Virgo, basically 0 degrees. The orb of influence here is 1 degree on either side. So this is exactly on that star, and it has this influence of destroying the favorite. So why am I starting with unlucky stars? It's to bring out this idea that even in our language, we have this concept of, you're my lucky star, right? Madonna had a song like that. And this concept is in our culture, that there is a time and a season to do everything. And when you do something under a lucky star, you prosper. When you do something, at the wrong time, then you fail. And this is a real world example. Now, this wasn't the only reason. That this race also happened exactly on a new moon. I mean, exactly. It couldn't have been more precise. You can see the sun is at 20 degrees, the moon is at 20 degrees. And so new moons indicate the breaking of an old pattern. A new moon, a new pattern begins. And so the last 6 years, the favorite had won every race and it had been pretty easy. And now there's a breaking of that pattern. So these two things sort of conspired to against the favorite in this race, if you will believe astrology's ability to indicate what will happen. And this is something that is my line of research. So, okay, so we know there are unlucky stars, and in the last video I showed you how to find your unlucky star, because I think it's more important to know when the bad times are so you can avoid them. Then everything else kind of takes care of itself, right? And then also you're not a slave to astrology, because this is one of the big things. People call me and say, Simon, when should I go to Circle K and buy chips? Like, dude, just go to Circle K and buy chips. Okay, when should I, travel to go to San Diego to pick up my kid? Okay, for daily mundane things, you don't need this as much. Just live your life. But for big things that have consequences, like starting a business, like starting school, like buying a house, like getting married, like buying stocks, like investing, the consequences are there, right? You can either fail, and if you fail, that you can lose a lot of money or time or even your health. So that's when it is important. So knowing the bad times is the first line of defense. Now I'm going to show you how to find your good stars. So in the previous video, I showed you that the first, third, fifth, and seventh stars from your birth moon star. And remember, star is equal to nakshatra, okay? So your birth nakshatra is your birth star. These tend to be negative. And the least negative is the first, because the first is mixed. Probably the most negative is the seventh, okay? So, and its other name is Vadatara. And in fact, there is a sort of really ancient, archaic method in compatibility. If the man's moon is seventh from the woman's, that can create problems. Even though in another way called Mahendra, that's actually a positive thing, but the seventh star holds some very negative potential, and you have to check, there's a special table. So those are the bad ones. So now the good ones are the second star. The second star is especially good for money because it evokes the meanings of the second house, and its meaning, sampat. Sampat is the name, I believe. Its meaning is good fortune, like coming across $100 bill on the road. Sampat, like good good things happening to you. In fact, why don't we look it up? I'm going to stop the share. Okay, we're going to go to, and let's start the share here. We're going to go to spokensanskrit.org. What means to fall upon? Some means the sum. And so sampada, this is sampada. So it means to fall upon, to acquire, to things sort of happen to you, property, sampati, wealth, sampada, confluence, things falling together. So it's this idea of you and the object of your desire coming together, sampat, okay? Because pat means to fall, to, I'm thinking of the English word that has to do with that. Anyway, that has the word, the meaning of to fall upon. And if you guys think of it, you can put it down. So I'm straying. So sampat is the second star from your birth star. If that star happens to also fall in a good house, then it becomes especially positive for you. What do I mean by that? Well, so the second star is good for prosperity, especially if it falls in houses 2, 9, 2, 5, 9, or 11, okay? Now, it can really fall everywhere except 8 and 12. Now, why am I not including the 6th house? Because the 6th house is actually also a house of prosperity. Krishnamurti, in Krishnamurti Padati, uses the 6th house for gains. Why? Because it's the 12th to the 7th. The 7th house is a house of the other person. Their 12th house means they're giving. So if they're giving, you're receiving. So the 6th house is a house of gains. So if this second star falls pretty much anywhere except the 8th or the 12th houses, but especially the 2nd, the 5th, let's include the 6th in here, the 9th or the 11th, this indicates prosperity. Okay, so this is a lucky star, particularly for abundance. Okay, the second star from your birth moon star. So in this case, let's just take this example of the Kentucky Derby. The moon was in Bharani. So Bharani is a Venus-ruled star. Then the next star is Kritika. And here we have an example, right? So Bharani is the first, number one. Kritika would be the one following. And all of the stars of the sun. So Kritika here, actually, part of it does fall, 10 degrees of it falls in the ninth house. So Kritika, particularly when it is in Taurus, is your lucky star if you are this person, okay? Then we want to look at Uttara Phalguni, which is the other sun-ruled star. When it falls in Virgo, is also lucky because it's the first house. And then Uttara Ashada, the first 10 degrees of Capricorn, will also be lucky because it's the fifth house. So for this person, the sun-ruled stars are Sampat, okay, or Sampati, which is which leads to abundance. So on those days when the moon is in the first 10 degrees of Taurus, first 10 degrees of Virgo, or first 10 degrees of Capricorn, those would be good days to prosper, to buy stocks, to do stuff related to abundance and prosperity. Make sense? Okay, let's move on to the next one. So that was number 2. The fourth star, we've done 3, 5, 7 in the previous video. So the fourth star, called Kshema, has the meanings of the fourth house. The sense of happiness, the things you do during this time are good for fourth house matters. Buying a home, moving into a home, redecorating, leasing an apartment, stuff like that. Also things having to do with the establishment of government, which the fourth house is. It's the seat of power, the throne, rearranging furniture. But this is a generally beneficial time, especially, again, if it falls in positive houses. And here you want to avoid houses 8 and 12, especially. And I would probably add the sixth house here as well, because the sixth house is a dustana from the fourth. So anything except 6, 8, and 12, if that fourth star falls in houses, in any house except 6, 8, or 12, it's a lucky star for you. Okay? Then the sixth star, Sadhaka, okay, the sixth star, same thing. The sixth star is good for doing stuff. Sadnoti is a verb which means to attain the goal, to get, to reach your goal. It's also a term from archery, which means to hit the target. So that's when you have some goal-oriented thing, like you want to, you start a diet and you want to reach your ideal weight. Start it on that sixth day, when the moon is in the sixth star from your natal moon, either in the sixth from the moon or one of its trines. Okay, just like we did here, because it's sadhaka, it's the ability to attain the goal. Then the 8th and the 9th are Mitra and Parama Maitra, the friendly and great, very friendly. So the 8th and the 9th are the friendly and very friendly stars, and they're generally good for everything, because when you're with a friend, your friend supports you in whatever you do. Okay, and again, the same rule: anything, any house. I say anything, any house except let's say 8 and 12. Okay, because anything could be, if you're doing things in the 8th and 9th house and they're for money, the 6th house is okay. If they're for litigation, then 6th house is probably okay. So these are the little secrets from Vedic astrology on how to time things on your lucky star. Now here's the good news. Every month, as the moon goes through the entire zodiac, there are going to be, you're going to have 3 bad days for each segment, for each circle of nakshatras. So it's for each paryaya, for each of the 9 divisions, and there's 3 of them. So you're going to have 3, 3, 3, 9 bad days per month where you don't do anything. And if that's too many, then focus on the 7th star, the Vada star, the killer star, and that'll reduce it to 3 bad days per month, where you just kind of, not you don't do anything, you do everything you're going to do, just no big undertakings. And then you have a bunch of good days. Okay, so you avoid those general 9 days per month, and basically you have 21 days where you can do pretty much what you want to do. Now, provided that those 21 days, those stars fall in positive houses. So it's not going to be actually 21, because at some point, for example, the birth star here, Bharani, Venus star, is going to be bad. Why? Because it falls in the 8th house. So remember we said the birth star can be positive or negative. It's got a little bit of both. Well, part of what it depends on is it in a negative house? So here, the birth star ruled by Venus is going to be negative because it's in the 8th house. The birth star, when it falls in Leo, Venus nakshatra in Leo, it's going to be in the 12th house. Okay? So, so there's going to be a few more bad days. And for this person, Ketu nakshatras, how do we deal with a star, say the 9th star? The 9th star for this person is a Ketu nakshatra, but it falls in the 8th house and the 12th house. That's going to reduce its goodness. Okay, so even though the 9th star is Parama Maitra, the great friend, so for this chart, the 9th star is ruled by Ketu and falls in the 8th, 12th, and 4th houses, the 9th star from the moon, right? If the moon is in Bharani, then the star previous to it is Ashwini, which was ruled by Ketu. So it's the 9th in the Dasha order. So that 9th star then is going to be iffy. You got to test it out. So this brings me to the final technique, and I think probably the most important, which is this. And if you've watched this video up to now, you deserve this technique, because I can do a lot of blah, blah, blah. Get a journal and just start writing down the days, and the star when good things happen to you. You got a raise, you won something, your honey called you and you had a beautiful romantic evening. Or if you want to do it in just one category, for love or for money or for work, when you had a great work day, when you got a lot accomplished, and when you had a terrible work day. Write them all down and write which star the moon was in on that day, and just keep a tab. Do this for at least 2 months. At least 2 months, you have enough data. And then start looking back and go, every time the sun was in Bharani, I argued with women. Interesting. Every time, the moon, not the sun. Every time the moon was in Bharani, I argued with women. Or every time the moon was in Uttarashada in Capricorn, I got more money. Either won money or someone gave me money. Money came to me. Start noticing those patterns. When you do, after at least 2 months, but hopefully more, 3-4 months, you do this, you will understand truly what your lucky star is and lucky for what. So I know my lucky stars. Do you know yours? I challenge you to try this homework assignment. Do it for 3 to 4 months, and you will know. Your own life will show you, will teach you what your lucky stars are. No, you won't have to go to an astrologer or have someone like me claim and tell you what they are. You will know from your own personal experience. And this is how they train Ayurvedic physicians. You take your own pulse for months, and you every day, 3-4 times a day, sometimes more, to see how your pulse changes. Then you understand, I ate spicy food and it did this to my pulse. I was dehydrated, it did this to my pulse. Whatever. You know, I got constipated, it did this. Then when you take someone else's pulse, you know what constipation feels like. And, oh, you're not drinking enough water. Are you constipated? And people go, oh, how do you know that? Because you've done the work on your own self. Same thing with astrology. Do the work on your own chart. Take notes. It is hard work. It's tedious, but just do it 3-4 months, and you will know your lucky stars. You will know your unlucky stars, and then you'll be able to better predict for others. All right. Hope this was helpful. Thanks, and we will see you in another video. Bye for now.